Alright, Algebra 1, Section 2.2, Multiplication Property of Equality. The multiplication property of equality states that if any non-zero quantity multiplies or divides both sides of an equation, the equation remains true. Okay, that's a fancy way of saying that whatever we do to one side, we have to do to the other when it comes to multiplying or dividing in order for our equation to remain equivalent. On page 53, I'm looking at number 2. We have 3x equals 21. Basically, just like the previous lesson when we were doing linear equations, I want to isolate the variables. So our number one goal is to isolate the variable. Okay, when we see these that say solve each equation, that's what it means. All right. So on 3x equals 21, the problem is my variable is not isolated. It has a 3 attached to it. I need to figure out a way to get rid of that 3 off of that side of the equation. The way I'm going to do that is it was being multiplied. I'm going to do the opposite. The opposite of multiplication is division. So I'm going to divide this side by 3. 3 over 3 cancel out, giving me 1x. So that side's going to equal x. I'm not quite done yet because if I do that to the left side of the equation, I have to do it to the right side. So I'm going to divide the other side by 3 also. 21 divided by 3 is 7. Okay, so I'm saying that x equals 7. Now I'm going to double check that. I'm going to go back over here to my original equation, 3x, and I'm replacing x with 7 because what I just said is x equals 7. So anywhere that I see an x, I can replace it with 7, and that should remain true. So 3 times 7 equals 21. When I multiply that out, that does equal 21. That is a true statement, so I've checked it. Our answer there is correct. On number 4, it looks a little bit different. I've got 1/5 x equals 7. I'm going to do this twice. The first time I'm going to do 1/5 x equals 7. Well, I'm going to divide that by 1/5 because it was being multiplied, and I'm going to divide this side by 1/5. Anytime I divide and I have something over itself, that equals 1. So on this side, I'm going to be left with x equals. Over here, I've got to kind of remember my rules with rational numbers. If I'm dividing by a fraction, I need to keep the first one, and I need to make it look similar. So I'm going to put it over 1. I need to keep the first one, change it from division to multiplication, and flip the second one. All right, so 7 times 5 is 35. 1 times 1 is 1. So I'm left with x equals 35. I'm going to go back and check that in my original. So I'm going to do 1/5. I said x equals 35, so I'm replacing x with 35. And 1/5 times 35 is the same as 35 divided by 5, which is 7. All right. I said I'm going to do that one twice. Here's why. I've told you several times that when you hear me talk about dividing fractions, dividing a fraction is the same thing as multiplying by its reciprocal. So if you can get the hang of that, that'll make these a whole lot easier. So dividing by a fraction, I'm going to divide by 1/5, is the same thing as multiplying by its reciprocal. So that and that cancel, leaving me with x. 7 times 5 is 35. Hopefully you can see that that one was quite a bit less work shown, but accomplished the same goal. All right. So on the next one, we've got 4x equals 17. Not going to treat it any differently. 4 times x equals 17. I want to get rid of the 4, so I'm going to divide. Let's write it over here on this side. 4x equals 17. I'm going to divide both sides by 4. Those cancel out. X equals 17 over 4. I can't reduce it. It doesn't divide evenly. Sometimes our answers are just a little bit uglier than other times. That doesn't mean I treat it any differently. 17/4 is just as much of a number as a whole number is. Come over here and check it. 4 times 17 over 4 equals 17. I put that over 1 just to show it. The 4 and the 4 cancel. 17 equals 17. That checks off. We're good. Alright, number 20. 1/3 x equals 2/9. I just talked about this one on number 4. I've got a fraction times a variable. I know I'm going to divide because it's multiplication, and I'm dividing a fraction. So instead, I'm going to multiply by its reciprocal, which is 3 over 1. The 3 and the 3 cancel, the 1 and the 1 cancel, leaving me with x on this side. Over here, the 3 goes into 3 one time, 3 goes into 9 3 times. 2 times 1 is 2. 3 times 1 is 3. I get 2/3. Now when I check that, I get 1/3 times, I said x equals 2/3, so I'm going to replace that, equals 2/9. When I multiply fractions, I do the top times the top, so 1 times 2 is 2, over the bottom times the bottom, 3 times 3 is 9, equals 2 over 9. That one checks off, so our solution works. Alright, so work on your homework on that one. Hopefully this one's not too bad.